As news of the Ahmedabad plane crash tragedy went viral on social media, racists on social media saw an opportunity to make racist, insensitive, and hateful remarks against Indians. Instead of grief or solidarity for over 240 lives that were lost in the crash, Indians got racial mockery and stereotype laced commentary. But what happened? What was the reason for the crash? The Ahmedabad-London Air India flight, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, had issued a mayday call shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad airport before crashing just outside the airport perimeter. The Boeing aircraft had crashed into a doctor's hostel building, killing 4 MBBS students and the crew and passengers in the flight. Only one passenger in the plane miraculously survived. While investigations are still ongoing to find the cause of the crash, this is not the first time that Boeing aircraft have crashed, killing hundreds of people on board. Here's a list of Boeing aircraft that have crashed or malfunctioned in the last 5 years. On March 21, 2022, China Eastern Airlines Boeing 737-800 nosedived mid-air. All 132 on board were killed. Investigation found control surface failure and China grounded the 737 fleet. Boeing blamed pilot error, but China never believed them. On January 5, 2024, Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 blew out a door plug mid-air. 177 lives on board had a narrow escape thanks to an emergency landing. Boeing CEO David Calhoun resigned and the US FAA grounded all Boeing MAX 9 jets. On November 25, 2024, Swiftair 737-400 cargo crashed in Lithuania. 1 died and 3 were injured. On December 29, 2024, the Jeju Air Boeing 737-800 crash-landed and overran the runway in South Korea's Muan. 179 people died. South Korea launched a criminal probe into Boeing. A Boeing aircraft has even failed in space. Boeing Starliner spacecraft stranded 2 NASA astronauts, Sunita Williams and Barry Wilson, at the International Space Station for almost a year. Their return to Earth was delayed for months due to helium leaks and thruster malfunctions. But why are these Boeing aircrafts failing or malfunctioning so frequently? Whistleblower Sam Salapour, a Boeing engineer, has alleged that Boeing took shortcuts when manufacturing its 777 and 787 Dreamliner jets and that the risks could become catastrophic as the airplanes age. Another whistleblower, John Barnett, had alleged that under-pressure workers had been deliberately fitting substandard parts to aircraft on the production line to prevent delays, but he died under mysterious circumstances in 2024. The US Senate is conducting hearings on Boeing's quality control and the FAA has launched multiple investigations. In May 2025, Boeing agreed to pay $1.1 billion to settle lawsuits and avoid criminal trial in its aircraft crash cases. Rising instances of Boeing aircraft crashes and malfunctions have put the spotlight on the aeroplane manufacturer. While some handles on social media are blaming Air India or even the Indian government for this crash, the safety concerns regarding Boeing aircraft must first be addressed. The tragic Ahmedabad crash is a wake-up call. As investigations unfold, the world must hold Boeing accountable, not deflect blame onto victims or nations grieving those who died in tragic accidents. It is important to note that Boeing hires approximately 1,71,000 people directly and creates 6,84,000 jobs indirectly, totaling almost 1 million jobs in the US, while also contributing upwards of $50 billion towards the American economy. Needless to say, the US government has its own interests when it comes to holding Boeing accountable. Therefore, any artificial narratives targeting Indians, Air India, or other factors have to be seen as an attempt to deflect from Boeing's recent history and shift the blame to the end user. As Indians, we must reject these narratives, ignore the racial abuse, and keep sight of the real issue here: Boeing, its history of malfunctions, and the mysterious deaths of its whistleblowers.